In 2018, 3 friends from Bakersfield, California, all in their 20s, vanished within weeks of each other. One was murdered. One turned up dead months later. The third is still missing. All 3 were connected. Drugs, danger, and a web of secrets that police couldn't, or wouldn't, untangle. But one woman, the mother of one of the missing, refused to let it die in silence. She knocked on doors, tracked down witnesses, chased down rumors, and turned personal tragedy into a public mission. This is the story of the Bakersfield 3, a case that raised more questions than answers, and a mother who refused to give up, even when no one else was listening. If you want real crime stories with real people and real consequences, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because this story goes deeper than headlines. To understand the tragedy, you have to start with the people. Micah Holsonbake, James Kulstad, and Baylee Despot. 3 young adults living in Bakersfield, a city known for its oil fields, agriculture, and a growing opioid crisis. They weren't saints. Each had struggled with addiction, brushes with the law, and toxic relationships. But they weren't strangers, either. They were friends, sometimes close, sometimes distant, but always tangled in each other's lives. Micah was smart, curious, and had recently been trying to get clean. He'd taken a job at a tech company and was trying to start fresh. His family says he was making progress. James, a father and former high school athlete, had his own battles. He was outgoing, had a good heart, but ran in circles that often led to trouble. Baylee was young, just 20, and had been living with a man twice her age, a man tied to violent rumors and drug activity. She and Micah had dated briefly. Some said she was a runaway. Others, that she knew more than she let on. By early 2018, something dangerous was circling all 3. And then, one by one, they vanished. On March 23, 2018, he vanished. No phone calls. No texts. Just, gone. His mother, Cheryl Holsonbake, knew something was wrong. Micah always checked in, especially with her. Days passed, then weeks. No sign of him. Then came April 8, just 2 weeks later. James Kulstad was driving home from a friend's house when someone opened fire on his car. He was shot multiple times and died at the scene. No suspects. No arrests. His family was left in shock. Then, in late April, a third name entered the picture, Baylee Despot. She disappeared without a trace. Her boyfriend claimed she'd simply run off. Her phone was turned off. Her car, untouched. Police treated her case as a voluntary missing adult. 3 people. All connected. All gone, within just over a month. And yet, law enforcement treated each case separately. No link, no urgency, no joint investigation. But Cheryl Holsonbake saw what they didn't. These weren't random tragedies. This was something bigger. And she wasn't about to let her son become just another cold case. When the system went quiet, Cheryl Holsonbake got louder. She didn't wait for detectives. She made her own timeline, tracked phone records, questioned people in Bakersfield's shadowy circles. She knocked on doors, walked through dangerous neighborhoods, asked hard questions that nobody else wanted to ask. And slowly, a disturbing picture began to form. Micah had last been seen with people tied to drug activity and possible violence. One of those people. Baylee Despot, the young woman who vanished just weeks after he did. Cheryl found out Baylee had been living with a man named Matthew Queen, someone with a reputation for threats and guns. He was also connected to illegal weapons and drug distribution. Cheryl believed her son had either witnessed something he shouldn't have, or had been trying to get out of a circle that wouldn't let him go. Everywhere she turned, she ran into silence. People were scared. But behind closed doors, they talked, and the same names kept coming up. Still, law enforcement didn't take action. So Cheryl began calling the media. She connected with James Kulstad's mother, with Baylee's family. And together, they formed what the police didn't. The Bakersfield 3. For months, there were no answers. Just missing posters, dead ends, and mothers grieving without closure. Then came August 2018. Construction workers, clearing debris near a Bakersfield canal, found something horrifying, a human arm, wrapped in cloth and partially decomposed. DNA confirmed what Cheryl had feared, it belonged to Micah Holsonbake. But that was all they found. One arm. No other remains. No suspects. No murder weapon. Just a terrifying message, Micah was dead, and someone didn't want him found. The discovery changed everything. Micah was no longer missing, he was murdered. The pressure on police increased. The media picked up the story again. Cheryl and the families of James and Baylee went public. They demanded answers, together. They called themselves the Bakersfield 3, and they weren't going away. But even with Micah confirmed dead, the cases were still treated separately. Baylee was still listed as missing. James's killer was still unknown. And the people connected to them were still walking free. Then, in 2020, 2 years after the disappearances, one of the names Cheryl had been chasing was finally arrested. And he had a lot to answer for. If there was one name that kept surfacing in every dark corner of this case, it was Matthew Queen. He was Baylee Despot's boyfriend, a man nearly twice her age, known for his violent temper and deep ties to Bakersfield's underground drug scene. Rumors swirled that he had guns, connections, and no problem making people disappear. Cheryl had been pointing at him for years. In April 2020, Matthew Queen was finally arrested. Not for murder, but on multiple felony weapons charges and other offenses. That's when the real unraveling began. Under questioning, he started talking. So did witnesses who had stayed silent for years. According to investigators, Queen and Baylee had tortured and murdered Micah Holsonbake, allegedly because they believed he was going to the police. Baylee reportedly struck the first blow. Queen helped cover it up. They dismembered Micah's body and scattered the remains. And then, Baylee disappeared. Queen claimed she ran off. Others believed she was silenced, either by him, or by someone afraid of what she knew. No body. No trace. Just a missing woman who knew too much. And now, Queen was facing the weight of it all in court. In 2022, Matthew Queen went on trial. He faced over 30 charges, including kidnapping, torture, and second-degree murder in connection with Micah Holsonbake's death. The prosecution painted a chilling picture. A calculated killing, a body dismembered, a cover-up involving people too scared to speak out. Witnesses testified about Queen's threats, his obsession with control, and how Baylee had become entangled in something far more dangerous than she could handle. But Queen's defense was simple. Baylee did it. He claimed he only helped after the fact, out of fear, not guilt. He insisted she fled the state, possibly still alive. The jury didn't buy it. Queen was found guilty of second-degree murder, among other charges. He was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. For Cheryl Holsonbake, it was a moment of justice, but not peace. Because Micah is gone. James is still dead, and his case remains unsolved. And Baylee Despot, the third of the Bakersfield 3, is still missing. No body. No closure. No clear truth. Just a haunting silence where answers should be. 3 friends. 1 murdered. 1 gunned down. 1 still missing. The Bakersfield 3 isn't just a story about crime. It's a story about a mother who refused to let her son be forgotten, about families who found each other through heartbreak, and about a system that didn't move until the pressure became impossible to ignore. Cheryl Holsonbake turned her grief into something bigger. She became a voice for families left behind, for victims buried by silence, and for those whose stories never make the front page. But this case isn't closed. Who killed James Kulstad? What really happened to Baylee Despot? And how many people knew more than they said? Someone out there still knows the truth. And until that truth comes out, justice will remain unfinished. If this case moved you, hit like, subscribe, and share this video. The more people hear these stories, the harder they are to ignore. Because behind every headline, there's a family still waiting for answers.